The January 6th indictment is not the only legal trouble former President Donald Trump is facing. Charges in Georgia's election interference investigation could be coming soon. Joining us now from Atlanta, where she is on indictment watch, is CBS News correspondent Nikole Killion. Nikole, good to see you. Could the January 6th federal indictment now have an impact on the potential indictment in Fulton County, or shift the timeline of a possible indictment there in Georgia?
Yeah, at this point, it seems unlikely, and we know that the district attorney said at the time of the federal indictment in the classified documents case that wasn't going to have any bearing or impact on her investigation. While we haven't gotten a formal statement from the DA with respect to the indictment that was unsealed yesterday, I would imagine that she doesn't expect it to impact her investigation here. In fact, she continues to move full speed ahead as far as her investigation is concerned. We are in the midst of a window where District Attorney Fani Willis could announce a charging decision at any time, and we are seeing things being set into motion here, whether that is two grand juries who were seated last month. We know that the district attorney has also issued a number of subpoenas for witnesses to appear before one of these grand juries. And of course, the timeline that she laid out was that potentially, she could announce a decision sometime between this week and the middle of August. This is a time where she has asked judges not to schedule any trials. A lot of her staff is working remotely. Again, security has been increased around the courthouse, so they continue to move forward with the investigation here in Fulton County.
So, as you know, there's quite a bit of overlap between the Georgia investigation and the federal investigation. They're both looking into attempts to discredit the results of the election, but in Georgia, it's happening at the state level. With what we're seeing at the federal level, this indictment, does this sort of increase the chances that not only will we see an indictment in Georgia, but we may see similar charges?
Yeah, well, I'm not a legal expert, and I'm not going to pretend to be, but I will say in talking to others in the legal realm here in Georgia, they believe that an indictment is likely. I mean, let's think back to the special purpose grand jury that was convened last spring, was dissolved early this year. Just a small portion of their report was unsealed earlier this year, and we know that the special purpose grand jury found no widespread evidence of election fraud. We also know that they recommended perjury as a potential charge for some of the witnesses who were involved in this probe and investigation. And we know, based on what some of the grand jurors have since said to the media, that indictments were potentially recommended. So if you read the tea leaves there, it seems likely district attorney has said that she is ready to go, but obviously we won't know officially until some type of decision is reached, and that is the role of this grand jury, these two grand juries who are currently seated and who will be hearing this evidence from the district attorney, including some of these findings from the special purpose grand jury to help inform their decision as to whether or not they will ultimately hand up an indictment.
Nikole, part of the reason you've been standing by there in Atlanta is that there is grave concern about potential security issues there in Georgia's capital city, Fulton County, which is the county you're in there. The sheriff says that the former president, if he is indicted and called down to court there, would be booked and photographed like any other defendant. Can you talk a little bit more about the potential effects of that decision and how the city is preparing?
Yeah, well, keep in mind that is certainly what the sheriff has said, that the former president, if he is indicted, if he is arraigned here in Fulton County, would be treated like anyone else and be subject to those types of protocols. But obviously, we know, this goes beyond local law enforcement, that this also will be a matter that involves federal law enforcement, potentially the Secret Service as well. But I think, both the district attorney and the sheriff have made clear that, in their view, they again, are going to treat everyone the same. So we have seen certainly in other instances where the former president was indicted that we didn't necessarily see a mugshot, or we couldn't we don't know if he was fingerprinted, but here in Georgia, they intend to do what they would with anyone else when it comes to the former president. And so, I think the biggest issue facing the law enforcement community here is, as you mentioned, security. There are barricades that are erected around part of the court, but that is also something that the sheriff really emphasized in his press conference yesterday, and some of the lessons that he learned from sending teams to Miami and to New York, where the former president was arraigned, to, figure out how to deal with this situation when it arrives here in Georgia. And that was one of the lessons learned, the importance of establishing a security perimeter. Also, he noted that there have been dozens of threats that county officials have received, including the district attorney. So that is top of mind for the sheriff as they start to make plans and preparations for this charging decision announcement.
All right, Nikole, thank you very much.